seconds matter. Just give me one more day to get it right. I need just one more day.
Transplant Talk with Nyshonda, Thursday, 7 p.m. on Facebook Live and YouTube.
Welcome to Transplant Talk with Nyshonda. I am your hostess with the mostest. And August is known as National Minority Awareness Month. And it has been a few months that I have been away, but I've been busy. I've been doing interviews. I am officially in my that. For those of you that are new to the show, say hello, 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 Lisa. Great seeing you on the broadcast. And I just want everyone to make sure that you text, tell, and tag someone about this show. When I tell you Christmas came early for me, this is a episode that I have been anticipating. And we have a wonderful guest on the show this evening, all the way from California. And we have the first African American transplant face recipient. He had a face transplant. And when I heard about this, it made me immediately think about the movie Face Off. And I just thought that that was an amazing movie with those two actors, John Travolta and Nicolas Cage. Amazing. So to be able to speak to a person, a first African American person to have a face transplant, I could not turn that down. So he's here with us today, and he's going to share his story. I did ask him if he's ever been called the modern day Job. And when I was going through all of my trials and tribulations, I I call myself Jobisha. I said if there was a female Job, it would be me, and the name would be Jobisha. And I know that's funny to some, but when you go through so much in life, we have a lot of trials and tribulations, and sometimes people just can't get past it. But when you meet Robert Chelsea, it makes you think twice about what you are experiencing or what you have experienced. So I don't want to take up too much time just talking about me, but I just want to reiterate that Save 1,000 Lives Transplant Talk with Nyshonda is a nonprofit that is dedicated to my late husband, Leonard Wayne Larimore, who passed away, so that we could continue to honor him and his legacy, and to anyone else that would like to be recognized or other people need to know that they are in a situation where they need a life-saving transplant. So if you are not now in order and become a registered organ donor, right? And if you would like to put it on your driver's license, you can. If you don't want to put it on your driver's license, you do not have to. Howsoever, you can put donate. You can go to Donate Life, and you can register to become an organ donor without having to put it on your driver's license. So, without any further ado, I would love for you to meet Robert Chelsea. You can also go to his website, robertchelsea.org, and see like the before and after pictures of him. And just an amazing story. And like I said, I like to coin him as the modern day Job, because he really helped me change my attitude about certain things in life. So I'm going to bring him on right now. I'm not even going to do an intro because I want him to come on right now. Hello, hello, Robert. How are you, sir?
Hi, fine, thank you. How are you
I'm
doing? I can't hear
said
you.
yes. Uh-oh. Can you hear me now?
Yes.
All right. I'm so delighted that you accepted, and I didn't mention in the beginning, but I've partnered with LifeQuest, and this month Jessica was able to get you as a guest on this show, and I am just delighted that you were available and you said yes. So thank you again.
Oh, yes, my pleasure. Thank you.
Okay. So for everyone that is just meeting you, and I know the other day, on Monday, you were on a Zoom meeting with LifeQuest, and so I'm had a privilege. I'm peacock proud that knowing that you were going to be on my show on Thursday. I could not contain myself. So can you tell everyone a little bit about you?
Yes, I basically, I was in an auto accident about 10 years ago, and before that, I was pretty much like anybody else, did what other people do and so on. Then an auto accident, I was on the freeway, my car overheated, I pulled to the side of the shoulder of the freeway, and the drunk driver was swerving across the lanes and ended up driving right on the same shoulder that I was parked at. And he ran into me. My car went up in the air. When it came down, it blew up. Well, it came down, and a few seconds later, it blew up. And so, by the grace of God, I seemed like I just got some instructions to go to the left.
Mhm.
And as I was going to the left, because I was sitting in the driver's seat, and as I went to the left, it seemed like a long tunnel of fire, but I went through there. It was probably only just a couple of steps. And a good Samaritan was there to help me out. His name was Richard Robles. Of course, we've become friends since then. And he was very, very helpful. He said he tried to take my arms to help me escort me to a safer area. He tried to take them, but my arms were melting. And we did check on the guy that had hit me, and he was not hurt. He was he had three driving under the influence, three DUIs, and
Mhm.
but anyway, he wasn't hurt. And anyway, when the ambulance came, I told him who I was and all that. It turned out that my lips were burned off, part of my tongue, and quite a bit of my body. But I didn't realize it was that severe. Uh, I did feel some hot spots, but nothing like as it turned out.
Okay.
And when I
So
got
you're
on the gurney, I laid down and I just woke up about 6 months later. So I was in a coma for the first 6 months. Uh, I ended up being in the hospital a total of about a year and a half.
wow. And guys, I hope I come back. I'm still learning more and more about his story. So if you all have any questions, please make sure that you put them in the chat. And he doesn't have a problem with answering questions. So I have more questions for you because I heard you say on the Zoom that there were 18 different shades of African Americans colors,
Yes,
skin
well,
colors.
that's correct. Now we're talking face transplant, um, which happened 4 years ago. The accident occurred in 2013, and as a result of the accident and the burns and the amputations and so on, that is why uh, we decided to go with the face transplant. So it's I know the great highlight or the attraction is uh, the face transplant. That's the big attraction that gets everyone's attention. But
Yeah.
what about those that have been severely burned? Uh, they're disfigured, and
Yes. Yeah.
this is this is very very serious because they no longer have a lot of options in terms of looking normal.
Right.
So I've been privileged, in particular with my face, because I
Mhm.
did receive a face transplant.
Yes.
But
Yes.
had I not, then you probably have to look on the website. You can see how my lips were all burned off and all that. My mouth was just always open. And that's, I think, far more important for all of us to know to generate more concern for your fellow man.
Yes.
And also, not just our fellow man, but the children's peers, kids that they go to school
Yes.
with. You
Yeah.
don't know what's underneath those clothes. They could
Right.
have all kind of scars and keloids. They they could have been in a house fire, car fire, barbecue, picnic, or ladies get their hair done and the hot iron uh,
Mhm.
sears their head. All kind of things can happen. Electrocutions, birth defects, and that's all has nothing to do with the face transplant. But those are great needs that will forever require some special attention. And I know we're talking transplant, but it's very important to to not overlook so many other areas that that actually bring us to the point of having a transplant, whether it's a kidney, lung, liver, heart, etc.
Yes. I know because I've after interviewing people that have had a heart transplant or just a heart transplant, a kidney or a liver transplant, they take a lot of medications. How many medications are you taking?
Well, I like them have to take pretty much the same medication. However, because I have a face transplant, you see, a liver, lung, kidney, the internal organs, well, or a stem cell replacement, bone marrow, those medications are for internal transplants.
Hmm.
When you have this, is still considered a tissue,
Yes, your
and it's
skin,
also considered the
the
largest
skin.
organ in
Yeah,
the body.
yeah.
Well, this face, I have now a new forehead. This is the donor's forehead.
Hmm.
This head talking is the donor's. His cheeks
Okay.
are the donors. My nose is the donors. Chin, lips. So they all have their own uh, characteristics. They have their own requirements to
Hmm.
maintain them.
Hmm.
Uh, it's not like taking one organ out and putting another organ in.
Right.
This has to be sewn together in such a way that they have to sew every muscle, every blood vessel, every nerve ending. Uh, Plastic surgeons said that they could do they could give me lips, but the lips would not be able to be moved much because I wouldn't have any control without any nerve endings.
Okay.
So it wasn't a good option, but yet it would still protect my lips and my mouth and gums and so on. I just wouldn't have any control. With a face transplant, they have to sew the blood vessels together, the nerve endings and so on. So it is a different process which require different additional medication.
Okay. I'm getting a lot of questions. And we talked about one of these questions. You had one, and it's coming up. How many surgeries have you actually had? And as I know, is not a simple surgery. And we spoke about the length of time that your face transplant took.
Yeah,
Would you like to share that?
yeah. But I don't know how many surgeries I've had.
Mm-hmm.
It was it exceeded 30 surgeries before I came out the coma, and I was coded blue, about 3 or 4 or 5 times. I don't know. That others have told me I was coded so many different times.
Mm-hmm.
And since the these are all from the burns. The
Mm-hmm.
other from the transplant itself, that was a 16-hour surgery. It required 45 different surgeons, and they had to. Of course, I've had several surgical adjustments
Mm-hmm.
since then. Like, you know, the donor's face was really larger than my frame, so they had to. After the swelling went down, then you could see more about what needs to be tightened and what can be tightened and what risks are involved and so on. So there have been a few surgeries after that. They were considered outpatient surgeries, but I ended up staying 8 days in the hospital or 5 days, simply because of other precautions and
Yes.
uh, and other incidences like they had to uh, withdraw fungus out of my head. They had to drain, you know, none of these things are fun, but
Mm-hmm.
these are the things that had to be done. Uh, and when you're dealing with a black face, none of the surgeons had ever worked on a black face. So they could not detect the signs,
Okay.
the outward, external signs. They can't detect, they're not used to it. See, I
Mm-hmm.
happen to be the first black in the world to have a face transplant, but I'm the
Yeah.
47th face transplant recipient.
Mm-hmm.
All the 46 were not of color.
Black. Okay. Wow. Wow. And you said on that spectrum from 1 to 18, you were between which colors
Well,
or
it,
shades?
it was just up to me to decide what shade would be acceptable depending on what uh, face, what donor, the complexion of the donor. So what they did, Harvard Medical, well, it's called Brigham Women's Hospital, they put together a, a chart of shades of African Americans 1 through 18, and
Mm-hmm.
one being the very high, the lightest and darkest. So I just looked at it and, they sent me a swatch and they kept a swatch and we decided on, well, okay, well, maybe this would be. So that's kind of how that happened. And they had to do that because before they, before all they dealt with was each other. So they didn't need a chart. With me, they had to put together a chart to figure out what might be acceptable. Because my face was just like my hands are all spotted which these are cadaver skin, by the way. It's another person's hands also. Well, the skin is another person's. Well, that's how my face looked too. So you didn't want to have a real light and then have all these spots around. You don't want to have real dark and have spots all around. So we had to choose something that would somewhat be closer to what my natural complexion was.
Wow. May I ask you this? Since you were in a coma for 6 months and you were you had an extensive amount of time in the hospital, what was your initial reaction when you learned about everything that had transpired and you seen your face?
Well, now I was in a coma because of the burns.
Okay.
I didn't have, that was in 2013 and 14. I was in the hospital
Okay.
recovering, not recovering, really just getting to the point where they couldn't discharge me until at least my organs were working right.
Okay.
But so that's when I was in a coma. It had nothing to do with face transplant. I didn't know anything about face transplant at that time.
Okay.
So
Okay.
2013, and then I was introduced to the idea of a face transplant in 2000, the late 2015. They
Okay.
asked me to come to Boston, and I did that in some 2015 or 16, and that's when we just discussed some of the possibilities of having a face transplant. The age
Yeah.
at that time, the cutoff age was 50 years old,
Right.
and but I was already about 64 uh, at the time, 63 or 64 when we
Okay.
started talking. But I
Right.
had,
That was a question, and we have some more questions here. Um, Asking, how is your sight? How did this accident affect your sight? I see you have on glasses. Um,
I wore glasses when I started wearing glasses when I was 40, but
okay.
this left eye is permanently damaged
Okay.
because when I was getting out the car, I think this is the reason. I had to turn to the left, and I think more of the flames kind of covered this area here, I think. Although, I mean, all of this is pretty much the same one, but I think that's what it felt. Because I'm, when I know initially when I tried to get out the car, naturally I either leaned this way or, whatever. I know I had to go this way to get out. So my eye, my right eye is still um, satisfactory. It's never. I don't think it's been. I know it's not damaged, and it's normal, I guess. But my left eye, um, it is permanently damaged.
Okay. And I have a question. Someone asked if there was a picture. May I show the picture of you and your daughter?
Yeah, you can show
Is
any
that
pictures.
okay? Okay. So I had to go myself to see what you look like with your beautiful daughter. And she's also your caregiver, correct? Like she helps you. What kind of support do you have from your family?
Well, yes, my daughter. Well, all your. Well, I only have one child, so
Okay.
she jumped in, and of course, remember you're looking at. She was about 20 something years old. She just looks very, very young.
Okay.
Yeah,
We all do. We all do.
yeah, yeah. But
Uh-huh.
she's she's gone through the trauma of possibly losing her father every day that I'm in the hospital.
Mm-hmm.
And when I'm out the hospital, it's scary. I'm talking about the burns.
Mm-hmm.
Scary, you don't know. So naturally, she was a major caregiver. My sister also. Once I was discharged, they discharged me in the care of my sister who lived in a desert area, Mojave, it's called Mojave Desert, between Los Angeles and Las Vegas.
Okay.
So I
So,
stayed out there about 3.5, 4 years to recover
oh,
because I still couldn't walk. I couldn't so much that that I needed. So I stayed with my sister. My daughter come out as often as she could. She's also she was caring for her mother, and
okay.
and uh, my sister. Well, I had a lot of people after the face transplant. I was in Boston for say 90 days or more,
Hmm.
but everyone that came out from Boston, to Boston, actually lived on the West Coast. Altadena, which is near, that's where the Rose Bowl is in Pasadena.
Hmm.
Inglewood, that's where the Lakers used to play before they moved downtown LA.
Hmm.
Uh, Long Beach, that's where the Queen Mary is, and the Spruce Goose used to get over that way. And let's see, Fullerton, this, they're all one person would come and stay 1 week, 7 days. Then the next person, they'd come, spend 7 days. Next person, 7 days. Next person, 2 weeks. Next person, 5 weeks. Another person. So by God's grace, they just kept coming and caring for me because I was completely out of it, so I could not care for myself at all.
Okay. I want to make sure I answer Miss D, and happy belated birthday, Miss D. She asked how long was the first surgery, and you said it was over 30 hours.
How long was it first
The face.
for?
How long was the transplant surgery? She
That was
wanted to
16. That was a 16-hour
16 or 60.
1-6.
1-6. Okay, so 16-hour surgery with multiple doctors.
We're going in and out.
Oh, I'm sorry. Okay. Can you hear me now?
I can hear those two words, yes, or a few words.
Okay. Hear me? Let's try again.
I heard try again, but
Okay.
not the.
Um, it is okay. Nothing.
I heard nothing.
Okay. So I'm gonna try to speak louder. What was when you first seen yourself,
Hmm.
what ran through your mind?
I don't. You mean my face transplant, or
Yes.
when I first saw my burn? We're talking face transplant, right?
Both. When you seen the burns and when you seen your face transplant, what were your initial thoughts?
Well, when I discovered what I looked like with the burns, uh, I it was like 8 or 9 months
After.
after I'd come out the coma, and
Okay.
I just happened to be. They put me in the seat, the wheelchair, to let me get in the hallway of the hospital, and we passed by the aluminum paper towel holders, and they give a reflection, and as we passed by, I saw the reflection. I saw my burned face for the first time.
Mhm.
And I asked the nurse, of course, to back me up so I could take a look. And I said, well, so this is what everybody's making a fuss about. Because I, I didn't know how I looked. I
Right.
was I was in the bed all that time, and I could see my arms and legs, but they had me strapped down quite a bit. So I didn't know what my face looked like. And when I hear people say, "Oh, oh my God, we're just praying for you and all this," I, you know, I thought they were just, people do that. They say those things and they're hoping that you recover. but I didn't know why they need such a special effort to express their sentiments. So when I saw the pasting, I realized, oh, okay, I see what they. But for me, it was okay because I had not had such a wonderful experience. It's kind of hard to just use words like that because uh, we're all, we all could use the same words. But uh, I think Paul, he, he said that it's joy unspeakable. And so no matter how much uh, you are a master of linguistics, you can't even imagine what joy God can provide uh, to allow you to be in green pastures. And so it didn't matter to me. This wasn't the end result. This was uh, an indicator that something happened that got others' attention,
Mm-hmm.
maybe for sympathetic reasons, but it gives me a chance to let them know that the joy is nothing like it. And of course I use the illustration, women see far past the looks of a male, a man. They, I guess they have to because I don't see where they're attracted. I don't see why they're attracted. But they somehow have such a comfort and safety and pleasure in being with that person. Well, if you can do that with naturally speaking with a spouse or a loved one, how do you measure the comfort you can have with God?
That is what makes you so amazing to me. That you have that joy, unspeakable joy. You can't hear me.
Yeah, no, I
Can
can't.
you hear me now? This is why I say you are a Job. You're a modern day Job because you have just that unspeakable joy. You never lost faith and you never lost hope in God.
Well, how can you lose hope in someone that's treating you so well? Do you lose hope when
No,
someone has treated you so well? If you lose anything, it's your degree of confidence. You just figure, well, this can't last forever. And when you see the consistency, well, sooner or later, if you stick around, you won't talk yourself out of enjoying it. You just let your guard down, so to speak, and enjoy the ride. I think David, when he talked about the Lord's my shepherd, I shall not want, I really don't think, even though he may have been somewhat of a poet, I don't think he was being poetic.
mm,
The Lord is my shepherd, I shall not want, making you lie down in green pastures. So I think he was talking about a personal experience he had. God ended up being my shepherd, and I haven't been able to want for anything. And he laid me down. I didn't lay myself. Well, I'm not going. I'm not going to do that. And I think that's what David was saying. I know that's what he's saying because I know what I've been experiencing. And he said, "For thou art witness," not because I was able to prepare myself. It's not because I was strong and I had a lot of experience in this. No, he, that's just the way. Look at every one of the prophets, every one of the apostles. To when did they ever complain about their condition? When they're thrown in jail, they rejoice. Though they slay me, the inward part slay me, Job said.
Mm.
Those are thrown in prison. Did he, and his own family turned away. This is Job. This is not Robert.
Right,
I
right.
mean, not Job, but Joseph.
Yes.
See?
I
How's
it's
Noah? I mean, can you imagine the criticism he was getting trying to build an ark while all these others are teasing him and trying to convince him that he's wasting his time and effort? But there's something that's so special that God is able to do to keep you focused and allow you to enjoy a dimension in Him that I could not have imagined. I can't put it together. I can't uh, 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 get a
um
fix on it on my own.
mhm. It's
So you might say, "Oh, Robert, you are just no." I'm one of just like you. It could have been you. Daniel was thrown in the lion's den. He didn't ask for that. It wasn't because he was just so great and brave, and he came out rejoicing. Shadrach, we don't know anything about Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego except that they were nice guys, and others hated them because they were nice guys. Got
right,
the king to throw him in jail. We don't know anything before then and after that.
right, right.
But God used him. So that's all that's happening here. I mean, it's not all. I shouldn't capitalize it and say that. But this is just really a taste of what is to come. If the early church, nothing could stop them, and they were fully persuaded after they received the Holy Ghost, and they were all in one accord. They all had the same mind, the same thought, the same doctrine. Well, he said the latter rain will be greater than the former. So this is
Amen.
just an introduction. And he's going to use one or two different incidences just to let us know that there's more of your Jobs and your Noahs and Davids, and there's more coming. There's more Esther's and
Absolutely.
Sarah's and Mary's, they're coming. God is going to have himself a people. And this is just a small introduction, just of the Jobs of this. He's going to have a people.
I thank you for being again. I thank you for sharing your journey with my audience, and your it's so infectious to me. Like I look at everything that I've been through, and you give me joy and hope that God loves me, and I know that He does. I know that God loves me, and I often tell people, God loves y'all, but I'm His favorite, and I need people to see and hear your story so that they could feel that too. So the next time something happens to them, they know that they have the strength because they have seen a person that has been through what you have experienced. So I need them to find that same strength and don't give up hope. And so I know for me, you have given me hope and know that God is still in the healing business. And I'm almost lost for words because it's so beautiful to see someone to go through so much. And we know that whatever we go through is not for us, it's for other people. And your story is truly for a lot of people that think that they can't handle anything. To know that your hands, your nose, your lips, you had to learn how to drink again, like you drink out of a straw. Um, you know, you did not, and I'm glad you said that, Nat. People are, they are so quick to accept defeat. And tonight was an eye opener and a self check. It really was awesome words, Nat. Just awesome words. Powerful testimony. So I thank you again. I don't think I could thank you enough for sharing this platform with us. So I'm gonna ask um you this
Uh,
necessary. Organ donation, you can't hear me? Well, hopefully someone can. Organ donation is so vital and necessary because we see how much it helped you even with your skin. People think that it's only the heart, they think it's the only the internal organs, but it's your body and your hands as well. So what would you say to someone that is struggling to put it on? Okay. What would you say
yeah.
to someone struggling with becoming an organ donor or signing up?
Well, I don't quite know what I would say. I know. I guess I should have a patent statement. Uh, but now, do we bring someone to Christ just by saying a few words? No. God's Spirit must prepare that person's heart to receive from what the person from you what you have to say. He needs to unction you to say whatever it is you're led to say to that person, and he also needs to prepare that other person's heart.
Mhm.
And so, as he does that, then it's the Holy Ghost that begins to share with that individual what they may need that word to encourage. I've already been encouraged. And for us to be selective in what we have to say, don't do that. There's so much more. Remember, it's God that wants to touch that person, not you and me, just because we're trying to get them signed up because they're standing in front of you. But God is dealing with that individual. Could be in a good way, bad way, could be, who knows? So it's best just to be prepared when you approach an individual. Uh, be careful in what you say and do with that person. I think there's one that said, there's several, but said, greet all men with a holy kiss. In other words, be conscious of what you are doing and saying to that individual. It may not be the right time to talk to them about organ donation,
Okay.
but we share. I mean, is it the time for me to tell you about Christ?
Hmm.
Is it the time for me to, you and I, we discussed about a very personal experience that you just had?
Just hang.
Is it the time? So let's be more careful on what we do and say. The steps that we take must be ordered by God. Otherwise, you're not working. What have you done? If you get them to sign up, now what have you accomplished? What have you accomplished?
Right.
So if they are led and you are led to share, then now you've made a consummation that's going to be worthwhile. And it could be not only them signing up, but who knows what can become or develop from that relationship that you establish.
Thank you. Thank you so very much.
Okay.
Thank you. Thank you.
Yeah.
I thank you so much. for being a part of Transplant Talk with Nishonda and Life Quest. And I want to again give a big thank you to Jessica on the everyone that's on the chat. Thank you all for coming on the show. Thank you for watching. Please make sure that you tell and tag someone about this episode. And y'all, I just want to keep it going. So again, just the next time you complaining, you just I want you to think about people that have been through far worse than you have. And just when you think you can't go on, keep going up and keep your faith and keep your hand in God's hand. I promise you, you'll make it through. So, again, August is the National Minority Awareness Month, and we've had the privilege and honor to have Robert Chelsea, the first African American to receive a face transplant. And, you know, we're going to keep him in prayer, and we're going to keep all of you in prayer. And God bless your daughter and your family as well, Robert. And I'm going to go call my family now. And we ask that you all keep the Rollins family in prayer.
Yeah.
Amen. God bless you all. Until next week. Tune in next week for another episode of Transplant Talk with Nishonda. All right. Y'all have a wonderful. And I'll stay right there for a second, Mr. Chelsea, please. I am so y'all, we just gotta go off. Not the way I wanted to end, but
I need just one more day, just one more hour to speak the truth to power. Life's not that long, just a few short hours. So make each minute count, make every second matter. Just give me one more day to get it right. I need just one more day.
Transplant Talk with Nishonda, Thursday, 7 p.m. on Facebook Live and YouTube.